Welcome back, everybody, to the Christian Show. In today's episode, I only have two segments because, frankly, I'm busy and I just don't have time to write three segments every week. Very sorry about that. The truth is, I'm a college student as well as a full-time employee, and I make these videos in my free time, so sometimes I just don't have that much to say. But either way, let's get going. In today's first segment, I'm going to be going over cinema. Because, to be honest, I don't think I'm the only person that thinks cinema's gotten significantly worse over the past few years. The truth is, we're getting just a ton of corporate slop today. I don't think this is a very controversial opinion. People seem to be saying this everywhere. But why is that? Well, it's because a lot of films are started in the corporate boardroom and not from the writer's or director's heart. Have you not noticed they're tending to put directors on films before the final draft is even done, before any plans for production even start? For example, the next Stephen King film coming out, The Long Walk, I believe it's had 3 different directors attached to it, and it's only finally being released now? What's the need for so many directors? Why is it switching hands so many times? Shouldn't someone like the director be more attached to the project than just, oh yeah, we'll sign a contract, you know? I feel like there should be a little bit more passion in it before the director gets attached. When you attach a director to a franchise, you get terrible films such as Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Mike Newell was a terrible choice for that film. I remember seeing in one director's commentary, he literally said, "The book is too long." If you have an issue with the book, maybe you shouldn't be making the film. That's just a personal idea of mine. For instance, in the Jesus film I'm planning to create, I'm writing it. I may not edit it. I may have someone else come and kind of clean it up for me, but I do plan on directing this film because I want to make a film about Jesus. I'm not going to attach some director to it right now. I'm not going to let one of my friends that has experience directing short films, I'm not going to let them direct it, at least right now, because I haven't finished writing the film. I know generally what's going to happen in my mind. That doesn't... It's too early. But these corporate boardrooms are like, oh yeah, this is a rising director. This person's getting popular. Let's put that person on it. That's a terrible idea. No, the director should be the one who chooses what they want to make. This is why every film today feels like it was made by a board of directors. Because it was. There's no heart that goes into film today. Now, what inspired me to talk about this today was Indiana Jones, actually. I heard tell of possible plans to reboot the franchise. I cannot even begin to explain how bad of an idea this is. With Harry Potter, I can somewhat understand it because at least all the Harry Potter book fans agree that the films, on the whole, were pretty poor. Maybe you can look at specific scenes and be like, oh yeah, that's exactly how I pictured it in the books. When you watch the films in their entirety, you hear more questions like, where's Winky? Why didn't we see Lockhart at St. Mungo's? Where the heck did Harry get the mirror from that plays a vital role in Deathly Hallows? None of that was established. None of it was shown. You just need to kind of know what happens. You need to fill in the gaps yourself from reading the books. Now, part of this is the fact that it was made into films and not into a TV show. But that's what was popular at the time. I can somewhat understand the TV show being made. That's not to say it's a great idea, but it's an understandable idea. Indiana Jones, on the other hand, is not based off of books. It's been a film franchise from the beginning. I mean, what are they going to do? Just remake the first film again? Shot for shot? Like that Psycho remake? Where it's just the same thing exactly, just shot for shot, and now it's in color? Ooh! So, this time we're just going to get the film again, shot for shot, except this time it has CGI. Ooh! The ghosts will look a little better at the end. Oh! It's a terrible idea. Notice the name of the first film, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not called Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Steven Spielberg wanted to tell a story about the Lost Ark of the Covenant. And when the protagonist was popular, they said, okay, make it a franchise. How well did that turn out? Temple of Doom is despised by pretty much everybody. I mean, half of the people that have seen it are calling it racist, which, I mean, if you're going to call something racist, Temple of Doom is high up there. But everyone agrees the film is just miserable. It's a miserable film. It's just depressing. It's about suffering the whole film. The protagonists, the side characters, even the antagonist is just suffering. Constantly, just constant suffering. Who wants to watch that? At least in Passion of the Christ, it's about Christ's passion. There's a reason for it. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, they just wanted to make another Indiana Jones film. It was so bad it created PG-13. One of the worst things to happen to cinema. My point being, we need more people to be invested in the films they're making. People need to be making films from their heart, not from a board of directors. When I was taking film classes, one of the first things I learned was the question you need to ask yourself before creating anything, before you even turn on the camera, the question you need to ask yourself is this story a story that needs to be told? Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think that's true. An Indiana Jones reboot? No, it's not the truth. With that, let's get on to our second segment. For today's second segment, I'm going to be going over a parable in the Bible, a very short one, that Jesus made. I referenced it last week when we went over the Lord's Prayer. I kind of rambled and trailed off there for a second when we were talking about forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And I just figured, since I referenced it, I might as well talk about it this week's episode. I'll be reading to you out of the King James Version. Unfortunately, my King James Version is this tiny little one. I don't have a big, full-sized Bible. The reason I'm reading out of the King James Version is because it's the only version I have that's in the public domain. I am not sure on what is allowed to be done with the new King James Version, so I'll look into that, and if it's something I can do, I'll probably switch over to that one. But for now, the King James Version will have to do. If you are someone that does not like your these and thous, this is in Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 through 35. So you can read along in a not King James Version Bible if that's what you'd like. So here we start. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Now, what Peter's saying in this moment is, Master, how many times must I forgive someone for committing the same sin against me? Say my brother comes and kicks me in the shin, and then later apologizes. I forgive him, but then he goes and does it again and apologizes again. How many times should I forgive him? 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. That's 490. So Jesus is saying, he's not saying exactly 490. You must forgive him 490 times. You cannot forgive him 489 times. You shouldn't forgive him 491 times, exactly 490. Jesus isn't saying that. What he's saying is, don't keep track, because God doesn't keep track. You sin against him all the time. God will forgive you. You need to forgive as well. Jesus will then clarify this in this parable. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. Now, I'm not the most informed on how much a talent is worth, but I've been told it's about a day's wage. So, say that you're paid $20 an hour for 8 days of work, 8 hours of work. $20 an hour times 8, that's 160. So multiply that by 10,000 for 10,000 days. You've got $1,600,000. That's a lot. That is a lot of money. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, his lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. So he's saying, I'll sell you into slavery as well as everything you own, your house, your family too. They're gone. Everything's gone. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. The servant said, Don't sell everything I have. I give you my word that I will pay it back to you. We already know how much his word is worth, considering he somehow went $1,600,000 into debt, but whatever. Then the lord of the servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. Notice how he didn't say, okay, I trust you, you can pay me back. He forgave the debt. He basically gave him $1,600,000. But the same servant went out, and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. So, it says pence here. Sometimes it'll talk in denarii, in a newer translation. But when the King James Version was written, that would be in like the 1500s, I think. That'd be 100 pence. So, I don't know inflation that well, but that'd probably be somewhere around like $100, $200 today. So not as much. And he laid hands on him, and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet, and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. I trust you guys to realize that that's the same thing that the first servant said. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison, till he should pay the debt. Now, that's saying that he basically sent him to prison forever, because he already can't pay the debt. So if he's in prison until he can pay the debt, that he already can't. So he's in prison forever. That's an obvious metaphor for hell, because when we sin against God, when we fall short of his glory, we owe him a debt. And we can never repay that debt ourselves, because evil is the absence of good. Good is not the absence of evil. Evil is the absence of good. That's something that needs to be understood in today's society. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their lord all that was done. Then his lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desiredst me. Shouldest thou not also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? Yeah, so that's saying the king called the first servant back, told him, dude, I forgave you all that money. You couldn't forgive your friend $100 out of 1,600,000. And his lord was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So he gave the same punishment to the first servant. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. So that's saying God will do that same thing unto you if you can't forgive others. Now, it's important to remember you need to forgive people. This is a point I've made twice now in 2 weeks, so if I feel called to say this, clearly it must be important, I guess. So that was the parable of the unforgiving servant. Very good parable. I think I plan to go over a couple other parables and stories in the Bible. Balaam I want to get to at some point because everyone knows him for beating his donkey, but there's actually a lot more to his story than just that. So yeah, that's a story I'd like to get to at some point. And then I also do plan to go over entire books of the Bible at some point, over a series, not in one episode, but over a series. So I hope you guys are enjoying this Bible study that I'm doing. This episode I've recorded 5 times now, 4 or 5. This is number 4 and number 5. So I'm more familiar with this story now. I can say that for certain. So yeah, if you have any feedback, please leave it. It's not like I get very many viewers, so it's not like any viewers have made it to the end of a video, but either way, thank you all for watching. Have a good day.